Shakema here. We're doing the Love Dare 40 Days of Love. If I can get my life together. 40 Days of Love, you guys. I am excited about being with you all tonight. Please do let me know where you're chiming in from for those of you who are joining me. Now, here's the thing. I swear, y'all, that's a tick. It happens every time I start talking. When I do videos, I can edit all that out. And you'll be like, oh, she's so smooth. But when I preach, it never happens. I'm just telling y'all, hey, ma'am, how are you? Do let me know where you're chiming in from. And let me know if you joined the challenge last year or are you a first timer? That's always interesting to know who's done it before and who's doing it now. And if you've done it before, what you're doing differently. Okay. All right, praise God. So tonight's going to be a little bit different. Y'all just kind of join in, jump in with me. Let me know if you like tonight's format. But I did want to start with our review of last night, which was our review of today. Today was day 5. So day 5, the dare was to ask your spouse to tell you 3 things that caused him or her to be uncomfortable or irritated with you. You must do so, remember, without attacking or justifying your behavior. You just had to take it. That's my word. You just have to take it. I'm just going to take it tonight or today. Oh, Alabama. Oh, very good. Well, we appreciate you being here. You persons that just jumped in, let us know where you're chiming in from. And the question on the floor is, have you done it with me last year or is this your first year? So that's kind of what I'm trying to get a feel of. Hey, ma'am. Hey, Miss Carla. So the three things, did anybody get feedback? Did anybody get feedback? You don't have to tell me what they said, but I am interested in, did you get feedback? So remember what I said. I think this is the part that was hard for me. We do something in our Titus 2 group called Dream Week. And I never even did Dream Week when I was in, I did a little bit of something. But we didn't call it Dream Week. And what we would do is we would sit and dream together. But this year in Titus 2, during Dream Week, the Lord just gave me a very specific word that this was going to be a tough year for women, for his women. The weather's good here. We had a really, really bad yesterday, but the weather's very good now. Last night, yesterday, and then into the evening, night, early morning, we had lots and lots of very bad weather, but it is very good now. So he said this was going to be a hard year for us women. Not that we were going to suffer, but this was going to be the year where we were either going to put up or shut up is my way of saying it. You're either going to get off the wall and stop being a wallflower and participate in life, or you just going to have to get away from those of us who are deciding to get off the wall. Because I am done with watching life pass me by. I'm done with watching everybody else live, and I'm just kind of surviving. I'm existing. God didn't come for me to exist, and God didn't come for my marriage to just exist. He didn't come for me to just have a marriage in name only. He didn't come for me to just have the ring and the great pretend marriage, but when I go home, there's problems at home. That doesn't mean that there is perfection. God's the only one that's perfect, but he's perfecting me every day if I allow it to happen in me. This is Carla. I remember Carla was with me last year. She is one of my longtime loyals. She said, second year, this year's harder though. Deeper level brings out all the little devils to try to stop this dear. Absolutely, for sure. And that was exactly what God was saying. Some of us are going to go deeper. We're going to unpack. We're going to figure out. We're going to shake out all the cobwebs. We're going to figure out where the lumps and bumps are. We're going to do this thing because what he has after we do that little bit of work. Remember, God is looking for somebody to work in tandem with him. He doesn't need us, but we have to put some skin in the game. He's already put all the skin he's ever going to put in. He gave his only begotten son, and whosoever should believe in him will not perish but have eternal life. Okay, he's already done the things. He gave. So now it's time for us to give. I used to have a student and his English was very limited. He said, Miss Wilson, you don't gave. You don't gave. Well, it's time for us to give. Okay, God already gave. What are we willing to give? Are you giving? Shamika, she says, Mom, are you giving? Yes. I'm giving God everything that I have. God, this is me, naked and unashamed. This is what I got to work with. What can you do with it? And he says, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. All right. So there 5 was the 3 things that caused him or her to be uncomfortable or irritated. And once you gathered that information, then we were supposed to then take that information and do something with it. Figure out how to not make them irritated. It doesn't mean that you just totally stop cold turkey doing stuff, but you submit it to the Lord. Hey, God, this is what was shared with me. Can you, first of all, I want God to illuminate why I do stuff. And I don't know how your walk with the Lord is, but I know that my walk with the Lord is so serious that God just shows me all types of things. Oh, I'm gonna pray before I go into these little communications, because this is irritating. That's the devil. I need that to stop in Jesus' name. But God is so faithful to me that he will share with me a deeper insight, a deeper level about why I do those types of things. Is it comfort? Is it protection? Is it safety? Is it what is it? Is it protection against something that happened to me in my past? Why do I pop off real quick? Why do I overspend? Why do I, whatever was shared, why do I do that? God, I need you to illuminate to me why I do this. Why do I hold on to stuff? Why am I a hoarder? Why am I an overspender? Why am I, whatever it is, show me why. And then you go to God and you say, God, you've shown me why. Now show me how to give this to you so I can get it off me. Because he wants an exchange. He wants you to give him your stuff, and he gives you something better. It says his burden is easy, his yoke is light. Why don't I exchange? Because everybody knows when we pop off, we overspend, we don't communicate, we shut down, all those types of poor behaviors. It just adds so much weight to what we're already carrying. But he says, what I have to give you, if you give me your stuff, is so much easier. I posted something the other day on Facebook. And if you're not following me on Facebook, please do. We would love to have you follow us under Shakema Wilson or First Love Ministries with Shakema Wilson. I share all the same things. But I said in Revelation from the Holy Ghost, fighting is so much easier when you allow God to do the swinging. But we out here trying to fight every battle. We taking on everybody and everything. And I'm just out here fighting. And he says, let me do the fighting. This battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord. The battles that we wage against or with our spouses, really unpack that. God, why do I look at them as my enemy? I think that thank you, Holy Spirit. Nobody would ever, I don't know, maybe y'all different than me. I don't know that I could be intimate with an enemy, with a person that I don't love. I don't know that I could go to that level. Now, I know there's some people who do anything and everything with anybody. It is not Shakema. But you said in sickness, health, good and bad, rich and poor, all the things every day of my life, with your kids, without your kids, fat, skinny, whatever words you want to put in, you said all of that. And the first person we normally end up fighting when we're in such inner turmoil is our spouse. And the first place we usually do it is with our words. Remember, I told you that war of words last night. So what we got to do is you got to really do the work. I know you're saying that it is a little bit more challenging this year, Miss Carla. Push through. I didn't feel very well today. And it was just about 10 minutes ago. I was sitting in this chair like, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. I got up. I went to the bathroom, changed my clothes, brushed your teeth. And I said, Shakema, push through. Because I've never experienced more battle trying to do this. Last year, this was not hard. I was like, well, let's roll up in here. Okay, we ready to go. Now I'm facing sickness and illness that was not here 3 days ago. What is going on? Push through. Push yourself through. Okay. I do hope that you participated in today's Dare. Now, we're getting ready to set up day 6. Tomorrow is day 6. We're not quite a third of the way there. Let me see, 40 days divided by 3 in our teen days will be about a third of the way. So we get in there. Tomorrow is the 11th. We're almost, well, no, we start on 6. So we're not quite there yet, but we getting there. Push through. But I thought it would be a little different and interesting if it wasn't just me tonight. I want to invite you to hang out with a friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine. She's been a long time loyal on the channel. She's one of my tightest 2 women, and her name is Olivia. This is my friend Olivia. Olivia hails from all the way across the places. I'm over here. She's way over there. And one of these days we're really going to meet. She has a very she is knowledgeable in so many things. Whenever I need to be shrunk, I just go to Olivia and I'm like, fix my life. Help me, tell me, help me understand the things I don't understand, or why am I doing this? If I need a shrink, I go to Olivia. She helps shrink me. So Olivia, just tell the people what you do and where they can find you if they are interested in following you. And you should be interested in following her. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Olivia Verbeck. I am a therapist. My licensure is a clinical mental health counselor, and then also I'm a substance use disorder counselor, and I'm also an author. And so you can follow me at Relational Trauma 101 on Instagram, Facebook, or here on YouTube. And then all of my books are available on Amazon. So that's just like a little brief introduction, I guess. And hey, everybody that I already know from Tides 2. If you're not part of Tides 2, that's a great thing to join. And we would so love to, I know Shakema would love to have you, and so would all the rest of the women. So if you're not in there and you're looking for a great supportive women's group, a faith-based group, then please come to Tides 2. It's great.
Titus 2 came about when the pandemic hit and people were shutting down, not going for fellowship. And then after places were opening back up, people still were not going for fellowship. We are a virtual group, but you can still be virtual and get what you need. Outside of just people being with me, there have been so many different relationships that have been formed with each other. That has just been amazing. Olivia and I were together on Saturday virtually, and we had another person that has been in my life for a very, very long time. We were doing some business things, and look how God immediately connected all 3 of us, all from different walks of life, all different ages, all different socioeconomic, ethnic backgrounds, all the things. And here we are. It just really worked out together. So what I'm saying is, since she brought that up, if you're looking for a woman's group, you don't have a place to go, you don't have a church home, you don't trust your church home, you're between church homes, whatever the case might be, reach out to us. We would love to have you. We will host you whenever you're able to be there. There's no hard and fast. I don't take the role. I miss you if you aren't there. We'll see you the next time. But one thing, please don't do, because in 24, I just don't have time for this. Don't waste time, right? Don't say you want to join and then, get me. I send all the information and then I never see you or hear from you. That's a waste of your time and mine. And we just too grown in 24 to be doing stuff, because really in 24, we're not doing those types of things anymore. Okay, moving forward. Day 6, love is not irritable. So he starts off with Proverbs 16:32. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who captures a city. Love is hard to offend and quick to forgive. And what I wrote on my little notes is, we have to learn how to have self-control. A lot of times, I'm telling you, the first person you're going to swing at, because they probably are not going to swing back, is your spouse. If you're frustrated with your day, you're frustrated with your work, you're frustrated with your finances, you're frustrated with your kids, the first person we're going to jump at is the person who's closest to us. And I don't want to say a lot of times we don't mean it, because the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. It was in there. You meant that. When you just didn't mean for it to come out at that moment, but it was coming out. You didn't mean for it to come off the way it did. No, forgive my tone. No, there's no forgiving your tone. This is what you meant to say. You meant, just own up to it, sis. Just, hey, listen, I told you what you raggedy. Your mama was raggedy. All your family raggedy. And while I'm talking about it, your car raggedy. Just let it all out. Just get it all out. All of it. Yep. And then you can ask for forgiveness. But I would encourage you to have self-control over those impulses to be irritable. I wrote in my book, why are your moods swinging? Because we always make we always make an excuse. That was a mood swing. I'm in a mood. Why are you in a mood? I don't think Jesus was ever in a mood. I mean, he might have been in a mood, but whatever the mood was, he always came back to who he always came back to the middle, right? He was in the garden. He was crying. He didn't want to do it. And then right back to the middle. He went up to the place with the enemy on the mountain. He was starving. He was hungry, but right back to the middle. He never strayed away from what he knew to be right. And so sometimes what has us up and down and out, what? Again, that's an unpack your bag thing. God, why am I swinging? If you are hormonally imbalanced, go get some balance. And what I wanted Olivia to come to the conversation, I'm going to stop talking so she can jump right in just a second. It says, when under pressure, I'm just reading on the first page of day 6. I don't have these numbered because I printed this off on line today. So those of you who don't have the book cannot say I don't have the resource, because I printed my 3 pages offline. It says, when under pressure, love doesn't turn sour. Minor problems don't yield major reactions. The truth is, love does not get angry or hurt unless there is a legitimate and just reason in the sight of God. He says, when you're going through these things, it's really for 2 reasons. There's stress and there's selfishness. Now, selfishness, I think, has come up in the last 3 days out of 6. There's something about me that is selfish. So I do want Olivia to jump in when we're talking about this stress. It says stress weighs you down, drains your energy, weakens your health, and invites you to be cranky. It can be brought on by these issues: relational causes, that's arguing, division, bitterness; excessive causes, overwork, overplay, overspending, or deficiencies, not getting enough rest, not getting enough nutrition, not getting enough exercise. And in my layman's term, we just overwhelmed. We have too much going on. So Olivia, if you want to just kind of jump in a little bit and talk about that stress issue and how we can deal with some of those types of things before we jump into our dare for tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So there's so many things that could contribute to it and that could be going on. And so I love that you talk about unpacking, because there's lots of ways to unpack. So sometimes when we come from trauma, right, you can measure a traumatic response if you're having like a way over response. Like if this is the given situation and you're swinging for the fences or you're coming hard, right? Or if you have an under response, kind of like that dead fish, no doormat, not saying anything, no emotional. So if it's an over or an under, that can be something that is a response that we're having because we're in our fight or flight, or we're feeling, our trauma is coming out. So a lot of times it can look selfish, but it might be, from fear. If we've been abandoned, if we've been rejected. So that fear creates this anxiety, and then out come all these different behaviors. So there's lots of things that can go off. So one of the first things I like to do when I'm working with clients is make sure we're really stable first. And so we really work on grounding ourselves, being present, dealing with our stress. One of the greatest causes of frustration is a boundary issue. So we're not holding a boundary back here. By the time you walk in your house and now you're like screaming your head off over towels. If anybody else has ever done that, right? Or you're freaking out about shoes and you're like, okay, somewhere in my mind, I know this is just shoes and it really doesn't matter. What happens is you have like this point of no return where you're going to go into that fight or flight or freeze response. And so if this is where you have a lot of control, This is where someone can interrupt me, someone can misunderstand me, right? In between is your levels of stress. So if you go to bed right here and you wake up right here, all the stress all the time, it's like one or two little things. And you can say the most hateful thing, to a child even, let alone your spouse, right? And your brain, in the name of like self-preservation, it's going to turn who's ever on the other end of you into your enemy. And what do you do to an enemy, right? You try to destroy them. You could try to like get them, horrible things. So we don't want to ever forget, Shakema, oftentimes when she's talking about couples, she'll say, we're on the same team. We're on the same team. When you're in your trauma or when you're not regulating your stress, right, which that's going to bring out those traumatic responses, that person really can, to your brain, become your enemy. And how will you treat your enemy? And that's, if we looked at you, right, in those moments, it probably looks like you hate that person rather than we wouldn't be able to say that you love that person. Be like, oh, they hate that person. Then we find out that's your spouse, right? And it's very shameful. So what happens is we go to bed here, wake up here, then we lose it, and then we shame ourselves. And now we're jumping into this shame cycle. And well, that's very stressful, right? So then we're making all these exaggerated promises, or we're trying to have these behaviors that are not realistic, which is more stress. So every way we're trying to get out of this and deal with it, we just keep adding stress, adding stress. So what you would want to do, what we can do, is really go back to basics. So you sort of treat yourself like your own child, right? When you're caring for a child, you make sure they eat, you make sure they get their nap time, their rest time, you make sure they have their little play dates, they do fun things, right? So really it's food and water. How much water are you drinking? How many times a day are you eating? When you eat, what do you eat? If you're a person where you're like, okay, I know I have trauma. I may not entirely know what trauma is, but I have those traumatic responses. I get that my childhood probably wasn't the best, right? If you know that about yourself, it's really helpful to learn to eat for your brain instead of just your stomach, right? And your brain needs nutrients, which you get in fruits and vegetables. So, and I know there's lots of different diets, and I'm definitely not a doctor or a nutritionist in that regard. But what you would want to do is do some more homework, right? Because we want to be able to keep our feet on the planet first. So do we drink enough water? Are you eating enough throughout the day? Because hangry is a real thing. If you want to be stressed and freak out and then regret what you say, feel all the shame, have more pressure on yourself just to do it all over again, right? Don't eat, right? Or starve yourself all day long and then eat at the very end. That is, you're like expecting someone to run a marathon, but you're not giving them any tool to be able to do it, right? So food and water, and then sleep. Do you get enough sleep? Everybody has kind of like their magic window of what works for them when it comes to sleeping, right? So you want to make sure, what's your magic number? Some people need 6, some people need a full 8, right? It doesn't matter. It just matters what works for you. So you have to figure out your bedtime. What time's your nighttime routine? How long does it take you to fall asleep? You got to work backwards from when you need to be up in the morning. So it's really being responsible for yourself. So I know, you're married and you're trying to be one in your home, but the responsibility with your relationship, starts with you first. So taking care of yourself, food, water, sleep, and then also learning about boundaries. That is such a big deal. And for a lot of us, even early on in my career, I was like, boundaries are like phooey. It was this kind of a word that was thrown around. I really didn't understand them for a long time. So boundaries are a big deal, and understanding boundaries, especially in marriage, because sometimes we try to make our responsibility our partner's problem. Or I feel anxious, so now it's your problem, and you better make me not feel anxious, and you better do it perfectly, when I myself can't even regulate my own emotions. So there could be lots of things that go on that feed into our stress and that get us poor behavior in our relationships, especially in our marriage. So just take it back to the basics. It's food and water and sleep. And then also, like we were just talking about, learning boundaries. So I don't know if you want to read that question, Shakema, or do you want me to? Okay, so it says, What if you've been functioning on way little sleep for way too long, like you hit the floor 3 to 5 hours consistently? Tips on ways to help your body adjust. Hey, great question. And hi, by the way, Sarah. Yeah, a nighttime routine, your brain is so smart. I won't go into other things, but once you get into a routine, you will find your brain starts relaxing before you even hit your pillow. So if you at the same time, roughly the same time every night, I know some people have flexible schedules, but if you do clean up your kitchen and then you take a shower, if that's what you do, and then you brush your teeth and then you check your doors, and then by the time you get to your bed, you do that enough times, your brain already starts to relax and unwind. Some people have to have it completely dark. Some people can't sleep unless there's light. Some people cannot have electronics on 1 to 2 hours before they go to bed. Some people, it doesn't matter. So there's lots of things. If you have low serotonin levels, you're going to be an insomniac. You'll also have an to heat, so phobias, social anxiety. You'll be prone to anxiety. So there's different things, and those imbalances come from not eating enough, nutrients. And you can get on amino acids, but that's something you could see a doctor for. So there's lots of reasons also that we can't sleep. One really quick, a great tip that I myself do and have done for years is something called a brain dump. So Shakema is talking about stress and stress management. That is a great stress management tool. You just use a notebook. You could go to the dollar store. You could even use your phone, and you're just going to write down, what am I thinking and what am I feeling? And just like main points from today. It's not a great big long narrative or a big story about your day. It's just, I just do bullet points, and I need just even a tiny space. So you just dump your brain at the end of the day. You could do it at lunch, or you could do it in the morning. Again, do what works for you and for your schedule, but get it out of there at some point. Yeah. If you wait until you're just about to snap, right, you really have that point of no return, and you're going to run the whole 9 yards, and it's a big outside is a mess. Because if your brain's trying to survive, it's either trying to get away because it believes that's what you need to do. So you're going to be running away from problems all the time, or you're going to trying to burn it all down, right? So logic, when you see a stain on your carpet, it says, I need, Dawn, I need water, I need a bucket, I need a scrubber. But if I'm in my fight or flight, I say, there's a stain on the carpet, and I light the whole house on fire, right? That's the difference between being in your, it's sort of like your right mind, and then being in the mind that's actively in your trauma. And then it's, like I said, very shameful. And then you're hoping someone's going to forgive you for like the 50th time. And somewhere, like, I've done this so many times, and I've been sorry times. And then that feeds more into that fear of rejection, more into the fear of abandonment. So really take good care of yourself. If you want to get better at stress management, if you want to stop that shameful cycle of having, those explosions, or being really irritable all the time, it really starts way back here. It's in the moment, it's like good luck. You have to take such good care of yourself back here, so that when that moment comes, you have a big buffer between where you're at and the point of no return. You have all this space where you could still take a few more stressful things before you snap, right? So hopefully that was helpful or answered some of what you were getting at, Shakema.
So a couple of things I just want to circle back. You talked about living in the moment. I just wrote in my book, living in the moment is not all bad until it is bad, right? So prioritize. You have to go back and look at what has you overwhelmed, overstressed, understressed. You again, this is the year to unpack it all. I am and have been dubbed by a lot of people superwoman. You do all the things, and I do. But I haven't done all the things well because I have sacrificed my family for the business. I've sacrificed my marriage for the church. I've sacrificed. Now that I find myself in a different situation where I'm divorced, and let me just tell you, I've said this before and I can't say it enough. This is hard as well. A dysfunctional marriage can turn around and function. Divorce is rough too. It's just hard on every side. You just have to figure out what what you want to crawl out of, right? I am divorced because that is just the truth. So that was a choice that was made for me. And I went with it, but it took me many, many, many years to get to this point where I am now. So living in the moment is not bad. I mean, I love a spontaneity moment, but I'm not a spontaneous person. I plan everything. So a couple of things for me, I've been hearing about, and don't quote me on this because I've not done any research, but people are talking about your morning routine, right? So sometimes in order for your family to function, you need to function. So get up 30 minutes early, get your cup of coffee, get your devotional out, get your journal, dump your brain, whatever you got to do, just sit and worship. Just sit with the quietness of life. Sarah, I know you have young children and you have a lot going on. So nap when they nap. Well, I need to clean the house. It'll be there. Nap when they nap. Because if you're not getting but 3 to 5 hours, and sometimes more 3 than 5, you need sleep. None of us are functioning when we need sleep. You wouldn't drive your vehicle knowing you haven't been asleep because somebody else is at risk. But you'll go in and try to manage your family when you haven't had any sleep, not realizing that your family is at risk, right? It think about it like that. The other thing that I had to think about when I was going through this, this is what I liked, and then I'll share that thought. It says the Bible can help you avoid unhealthy stress. This is on the back. It teaches you to let love guide your relationships so you aren't caught up in unnecessarily arguments, according to Colossians 3:12-14. To pray through your anxieties instead of tackling them on your own. That's Philippians 4:6-7. To delegate what you are when you are overworked. Exodus 18:17-23. To avoid overindulgence. Proverbs 25:16. It also exhorts you to take a Sabbath vacation day every week for worship and rest. This strategically allows you time to recharge, to refocus, to add breathing room or margin to your weekly schedule. Establishing these kinds of extra spaces will place cushions between you and the pressures around you. So going back to what Olivia was talking about, when you get at a 10, you at a 10. You may as well just go ahead and let it all hang out. But how about we establish some cushions in there when I'm like at a 4 or a 5? Because if I get to a 10, you about to get me at a 10. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. But you getting ready to get it, okay? This is what it is. So I sat here for a few minutes and I was like, what is my problem? Why am I like this? So I had Daughters of Grace on Monday nights. I had Titus 2 on Saturday mornings. I was teaching another class on Friday nights. I had Coffee and Conversation on Sunday nights. Then we added in members meetings. That was every first and fourth. Then we moved to second and fourth, and it was like all of that. And then it was filming every day to upload every day. And then I had the kids on top of that, plus my job, plus other stuff I was trying to do, plus brand deals, plus, and it's like, who? I'm Superwoman for real. But even Superwoman needs, to scale it back at times. So what do I have to do? I got to a point, and it had taken me years to get here, that I needed to combine Daughters of Grace and Titus 2. Those groups were always supposed to be together, but because I had an older demographic in my group, I didn't want to force the older ladies to try to learn technology. But those ladies were very gracious with me, and they said, Shakema, we're okay. You go do what you got to do. They were in their 70s. They like, girl, we good. We've been with you for 9 years. You go and do what you need to do with those other ladies. So I'm going to come back to something that Sarah said. Mine are past napping. Thanks for the suggestion. Your children will do what you tell them to do, if you tell them to do it. So they may not nap, but quiet time is also a thing. We're instituting quiet time in this house. There's one thing I cannot stand. That's noise. And the reason, unpack this, Shakema, the reason that I can't stand noise is because every day in my house, somebody was yelling at somebody else. My grandparents were cussing each other out. They were yelling at us. You know, it was just constant yelling. When you come into my home, it is almost always quiet. Now, the only time it's not quiet is when Shamika is home, because Shamika is just loud. And then I have to end up putting her out. Like, don't you got some friends you can go to? Because you have changed the dynamic up in here and I can't live. I know my boundary. And if I get too overwhelmed with the noise, I'm about to go off on somebody. Kid. It's me. I'm somebody. They my kids. But what I'm telling you, and I'll tell anybody, is you set the tone in your home. You either have a parent-led home or you have a child-led home, and that's up to you. But no child in here, where I live, tells me what it is. And that may take some time, right, to establish. My kids have, they've been, I'm just ruthless. Never mind. I'm not the right person to give advice because I'm not playing with nobody's. I say go to bed. Honestly, we enjoy being with each other, but they recognize the atmosphere that I set in my household, because I can't too much overstimulate. Even my dogs. I don't even know how we got these dogs, because mama is laying on the couch. Little Gwen is at my foot, and they are totally silent. Now, let somebody come near my door or walk past my driveway, they up, they on guard. But for the most part, they are absolutely quiet because my brain can't function. I know me. And that's a prayer. God, help me to help these people understand where my load is. Help, because if not, I'm a blow. And I don't blow nice. I'm a volcano that been boiling for years, waiting to erupt on some. I'm Pompeii. It's about to be all over. Everybody about to be. There is nobody left. I'm blowing on everybody. So for your safety, ma'am, sir, dog, please don't come over here with all that. And I think, again, I had to unpack that. And I don't want to be mean to my children, but I can't live in the chaos. When you get into your space, do whatever you want. In this space, I need peace. Okay. Then I had all of that other stuff. So I just wanted to address that before my mind went to another place. But all of the things, because I tend to get extremely overwhelmed. Alana is off 1 to 2 days a week. So sometimes I'll set a video. I don't put tags in. I don't do any of my automatic upload stuff. But I'll say to her, Alana, can you take a few minutes, 30 minutes, and do as many of them as you can, right? She does that for me. There are things I hire out to people that I just can't do anymore. And I know everybody's not at that point with it. I wish I had a full-time assistant. I don't have the finances for that at the moment, but I will delegate what I can, because it's not all going to get done. And then I have to understand, I've told Titus to this before, sometimes it's not my season. When my kids were very little, it wasn't my season to do a lot of things. Now that they are older and really self-sufficient, now I'm beginning to do stuff. And I don't feel like I've missed anything, because I've been there with my children growing up. So I've had all of that. Now I'm just doing some stuff that my timeline may be different, but I'm doing it. But all of that to say, if you don't unpack why you do the things you do, your spouse is going to catch it. And that's going to cause unnecessary chaos that doesn't have to be there. One of the things that I really, really love, and then Olivia, please jump back in, talking about selfishness, because that was at the bottom of, that was the other part. And we're not going to be up here very long after this. But one of the things that I really love, and I tell married couples a lot to implement, is a husband-wife meeting. Every Sunday night at 6 p.m. we meeting. We're discussing the week. We're going to unpack the week to figure out who needs to do what. Now, if your husband or wife, or if you're a man on here, whatever, if your spouse is incapable of doing certain things, then delegate to them the things that they can do. Here's the thing. Some of us think that they can't do anything and we have to do it all. So then you have the pressure and the weight and the strain of doing it all. And then you mad because you're doing it all. They may not do it like you. They may not do it the same as you. They may not do it at the time you want it done. But if it gets done for this season, as long as it gets done, can we not give a little bit of grace? He got the trash out. He got the car filled up with whatever, whatever the case is, whatever it is that she didn't do, or she can't go out and shovel the snow. So I'm going to have her do something else. Baby, can you pick up the dry cleaning? Or, make sure you get the groceries on Thursday, because I like to meal prep on Friday. If you know your husband meal prep on Friday, get the groceries on Thursday. That way it's already waiting for him to do whatever it is he needs to do. So I love a weekly meeting. I need 1 hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you need. Bring your calendar. Well, he don't bring his calendar. Don't worry about that. Bring yours so you can write it down. If you the write it downer, you write it down. Then you just communicate it to him, whichever way. I saw one thing tonight that was really good. I'm just going to give this to y'all. Jennifer over at A Country Life, she has this big desk calendar. She glued magnets on the back of it and stuck it on the refrigerator. If y'all need to figure out and coordinate who's doing what and who's got what kid and blah, 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 on the refrigerator. Listen, make it easy for you. Your house is too much of a mess. 14-week home organization challenge just started. 14 weeks to unpack all your areas: laundry room, kitchen, kids room, closets, bathrooms. Just get it all out your house and take it to somebody else's house. It's been sitting there in the box for 3 years. You're never going to open it. Trust me. Trust me. Okay. So selfishness, Olivia. He says, when you're irritable, the heart of the problem is primarily a problem of the heart. Jesus says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. That's Matthew 12:34. Some people are like lemons. This was good. When life squeezes them, they pour out a sour response. Most people say when life gives you lemons, make lemonades. No, some people suck on the lemon and then they all sour. You don't put no sweetener in it. You just like this. Who wants to be married to that every day? Okay. So take us a little bit through selfishness. This last point, and then I'm going to stop. Being easily angered is an indicator that a hidden area of selfishness or insecurity is present where love is supposed to rule. So take us through that, if you will, Olivia.
Yeah, boy, those are, just hearing that is so painful. I think it's few and far between someone who is like malicious and they're really selfish. And so they're intentionally trying to sabotage their partner. Yes, that does happen, but I think that's few and far between. I think most of us are trying to be good partners. We are trying to love. We are trying to resolve issues and move forward, but sometimes we just don't know how. Or again, we haven't unpacked the trauma, right? And so we're still we're in self-preservation, self-protection mode. And we know it's a problem, right, to a degree, and we feel very bad. And again, it's very shameful, right? If you've gone through these cycles, it's super painful, very shameful. It's embarrassing, right? And it's hard to know what to do. So I think that, just listen to talk about some of those things. I loved what you said about having the meeting and getting on the same team. Something as simple as a calendar, that's even so great for children. If a child can see what everybody's doing, if you make a calendar in your home, anybody who's ever done that, your children love that, right? They love being able to, it makes everybody feel included. So that's a really great tip to have. It's really hard with that whole selfishness. Sometimes it's because we've had no boundaries for so long. So we've been like swinging way over here that eventually now we're coming hard on the opposite end of the spectrum. And now we're not taking nothing. We're not doing anything. We're not, right? So again, it's all about, self-preservation. Sometimes we get married before we're open to receiving love. So sometimes we're so in self-protective mode because of everything we've been through, prior disappointments, past hurts, past things that have not been healed or resolved, that we're just not even open to being loved. Well, if somebody keeps trying to love you and you're not allowing it, or you keep trying to love someone else, right? So the selfishness can come from hurt, right? And also fear. And so I think this is where it's really important to get stable in yourself. Get stable as an individual first, right? Rather than thinking that that's going to be what our partner does for us. Because sometimes we can have like a black hole in us. They could shovel forever and they're never going to fill it. right? They could shovel till the cows come home, but there's no bottom because we haven't done the work as individuals for ourselves. So anytime, to me, it's coming out selfish, and it may look selfish, but really, is that truly the root? Usually the root is fear, it's hurt, it's scared to trust, scared to let go. When we get really controlling, man, if you want to continue to struggle with irritability and frustration, keep trying to control what your partner does, or keep trying to control every single thing in your house, right? And that looks incredibly selfish, because sometimes we care more about how the house looks than how we're talking to somebody who's making them feel, right? So it's like, yeah, there may be an issue and a problem we need to talk about, but we can't miss the person standing right in front of our face that we're talking to. Like, that's a person. But what happens, you get in that traumatic response and you sort of dehumanize that person. So you could say any cutting, terrible, hateful thing. So it's really important to remember, this is a person I'm talking to. This is a human being, whether it's a child or an adult, right? So I think that if anything keeps standing out to me, it really is, take care of yourself first. Get your food, your water, your sleep. Go outside. If you don't currently walk, try to walk outside if you're able. I know some neighborhoods are not the safest. That's just the reality. So if you have to drive to walk somewhere, you could do that, or go to a gym. You can watch an at-home walking video, right? There's so many options we have these days. So making sure you're de-stressing physically to whatever extent you can. Some of us have different impairments or disabilities, and we can't do what everyone else can. But the point is, do what works for you. But these are basic things that when we get stressed, these are the first things that go. We stop drinking enough water. We don't feed ourselves. We don't exercise, right? All the things that we need to. It's like our level of stress goes up. If this was your prior level of self-management, that has to get even better. But what happens, it raises and this goes down. And so now here's the point of no return. And here I am going to bed and waking up. And it over and over and over until it breaks, right? We do that until it's broken. So another thing, Shakema asked if I would supply you with the resource. This is one of the books I've written. It's Have You Had Enough? And it's how to break up with your toxic cycle. So sometimes you and your partner are in a toxic cycle. So you'll know that because you're going to feel so hopeless, so helpless. You're going to feel like, here we go again. It's the same thing over and over. I've tried crying. I've tried being nice. I've tried being rude. I've tried screaming. I've tried ignoring. I've tried everything under the sun, and it never changes. So if it's toxic, it's pervasive and it's harmful, and it ripples through other parts of your life. So it's not just like you're having this one problem and this is part of your cycle. It's like you're done in almost every area because you're stuck in this one major cycle. So the book actually, it's very short, it's quick, simple to the point, but it helps you to map it out. It's so different when you can see it on paper. And then it also walks you through how to get out of it, so you quit entering into that. So I think, helping you to unpack it is a resource that could help you to unpack that in a relationship. So if you're a person who's like at your wit's end and you feel like there's just no hope because you've tried everything you can think of, then maybe try doing an exercise. If not this one, then Google other exercises to get out of cycles or toxic cycles, or Google, how do I unpack? What does that look like? There's, I'm sure, lots of resources available for that too. So sometimes you're actually in a toxic cycle. Got to plug my computer in. And that's the reason that it's not changing. It's not getting any better. And now your fuse is getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So your cycle comes quicker and quicker. What you maybe used to go through in a month, right? Or in 6 months, now it's every 3 months. And then it's going to be every month. And then it's going to be every 2 weeks. And now you're going through it 3 times a week, right? They tend to come on shorter periods of time in between, and they build in intensity, which also, I'm also certified in domestic violence. I don't think I mentioned that, but we see lots of cycles in domestic violence, and the cycle of abuse, that's how it occurs. It gets sooner and sooner, shorter breaks in between, and it builds in intensity. So it's not something to just put off for another day. It's not something to just do tomorrow. Because what happens is we go through the cycle, we explode, and then it's that little honeymoon window. So we're like, oh, okay, well, it's fine now, but next time, if this happens again, I'm in dealt that, well, the greatest predictor of future violence is past violence, or future problems is those same past problems. So I would encourage you, don't wait, right? Whatever it is you're dealing with or what you're looking at, Shakema keeps saying, this is your year. This is your year, right? She keeps trying to just like put that into our brains, and it's for a reason. So I would just really encourage you to do what you can to begin to address some of these things today. But really, it sounds the opposite of what would make sense. But if you're struggling showing selfish behaviors, it's probably because you've been too selfless too long, or you don't know how to meet your own needs in a healthy way. So your basic fundamental needs are food, shelter, clothing, sleep, right? Those are the basic things that we got to take care of first. Self-care is not really getting nails done, getting hair done. I mean, those are things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. But self-care is the everyday, regular, basic things like food, water, shelter, clothing. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much what you were asking me, and then some.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very good. Sarah put on here, which I thought was really good. And this just says it all. She says, my response is my responsibility. My response is my responsibility. And I think that says quite a lot. If you haven't heard anything that V said, take care of you, because when you don't take care of you, how can you take care of somebody else? Remember, they tell you when you go into a plane, if the mask drops down, put on your mask first before you try to help somebody else, right? Do that. Give yourself those moments that you need. On Sunday mornings, I let my children sleep in to about 7:30. We have to be at church by 9:30. We only live about 15 minutes away. And they've had their showers at night. Rule in my house is everybody showers at night, because I'm a morning shower person. So I want hot water when it's time for me to shower. So I let every other morning, Alana is up at 5 because she got to go to work. That means they got to take the dogs. It's dog duty. They got to do all the doggy things. They feed dogs. I buy food. That's it. But on Sunday mornings, I let them have a day to sleep in. I take the dogs. I take them out. I keep them with me. We just sit. I have my coffee if I need it. I may have broken my Bible out. Maybe I've got some worship going. Maybe I've put on a load of clothes. Maybe I've made my bed. I'm giving them some time because they're on all the time. And this is still for me. It's good for me to take care of them. But all week, they've allowed me to have my moments. So then I reverse it for them. And they appreciate it. Of course, they probably love to sleep till 2 in the afternoon. Never going to happen in this house. But I at least give them till 7:30, right? So take care of you, because then, the people that you can then take care of your folks. Okay. Day 6. Here's the thing. Ooh. Choose today, so this is for tomorrow, to react to tough circumstances in your marriage in a loving way instead of with irritation. Begin by making a list below of areas where you need to add margin to your schedule. Then list any wrong motivations that you need to release from your life. Why do I have to post a video every single day? Well, Shakema, because if you don't post a video, the people aren't going to follow you on YouTube. That's not true. Some days I don't post any videos and I still have people going back and watching the old videos. Thank you for watching the old videos. There is no expectation that I'm going to post every single day. I try hard, but I don't have to. I don't think I made one post on Facebook today. That is so unlike me. By now, I have posted 17 times. I didn't have time. Today was not my moment. I had other things and stuff. It just didn't happen. So you sit down, and I wrote my list, all of my stuff, emails, counseling sessions, all the stuff that people need. I'm responding to all. I manage 4 personal emails plus some church stuff, 9 Facebook pages, 2 websites. I have why? No, I can't. I'm gonna need to delegate something. If you can't clean your house, if you save up date night money, but you do a in-home date night, go to TikTok, go to Instagram. They have and just search date night ideas. We're staying in, but how much money was we planning to spend? If you save that money up for 3 or 4 months or 6 months, you can get somebody to come in and deep clean your house twice a year. We don't have the money for a cleaning lady. I don't have the money for a cleaning lady, but I'm telling you this, in April, when I get my supplement, I'm going to put aside a little bit because she comes in and she does baseboards. She does over the doors. She does all the doors. Stuff I cannot get to. She going to do it. And it's going to be all right by Shakema. So choose today to react to tough circumstances in your marriage in a loving way. I wanted to read this and I'm done. I said I wasn't going to be on here long. I'll be lying every day. Y'all pray fun. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. 2 are better than 1. This is in the NIV. You can do it in any other translation you like. Because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. When you put Jesus in the middle, God in the middle of you and your spouse, that's a 3-strand cord. But if you always punching them out, I don't know anybody that was trying to go 10 rounds with Rocky Balboa because about the 3rd or 4th round, he done knocked their face in. I mean, they only made it go to like the 10th round just for movie purposes. But if somebody is busting your face in every minute, you like throw in this towel because I'm done with this. I'm done. And then when you decide to throw in the towel, sometimes that's the point of no return. When my ex-husband left me for the last time, because he had left before and I took him back. But when he left me for the last time, I was done. We went to one final counseling session and the counselor said to him, he said, "Sir, when I have seen women at this stage where she is, there is no return." And I said to that man, amen to that. And that was the end of it. But you don't want to get to that point. 2 are better than 1. You picked them. You chose them. Again, as I've said before, if anybody under the sound of my voice is in danger, if you are being hurt or harmed, get to safety. This is not for you. This is for somebody who just decide his feet stink too much every night and his drawers is on the floor. This is for those people. If you are being hurt or harmed, get to safety. Go to your nearest fire station, your hospital, your police station, wherever. You call a friend, call the pizza number, tell them that you need a pizza delivered to whatever your code word is. Go to somebody, get out of that. This is for people who just tired. I just don't like you no more. Well, I don't like you either, but we still married. So let's just make it be good.
Right.
Okay.
Can I add something right there, Shakema?
Please.
There is a website called thehotline.org. So it's good to file that in your brain. If you don't need it, chances are high that you know someone who does. But the hotline.org has simple explanations of what is abuse, what is domestic violence. And it will walk you through a safety plan so that you can find a way to leave safely, because there is risk in leaving. And then it's also going to plug you into local resources in your community. They have lots on their website, even legal counsel, all kinds of things. So if you've experienced violence, for sure, don't wait, right? Don't wait for the next time for it to occur. Educate yourself now, find out your options and resources that are available to you now, and find a way to deal with it in as safe as possible way. So that's the hotline.org, and it's the national domestic violence hotline for the U.S. And if you're not in the U.S., then Shakema already identified some resources. But the truth, truly, tell someone you deserve to get help.
Thank you, ma'am. All righty, y'all. So that's it for tonight. Tomorrow, join me again. We'll be back for day number 7. Please give this your best effort, or don't try it at all. I mean, if you're not going to give it everything you have, I'm telling y'all right now, when God sends me a husband, when he sends me, not if, I'm done with if, that part is out. When he sends me a husband, I'm going to love that man more than I know how to love anybody else other than the Lord. And I'm only going to know that because I've loved God that much. I am going to be so appreciative, even on the days when he get on my last nerve. Even on the days when we don't see eye to eye. Even on the days when we don't agree. Even on the days when I'm looking at him going, I don't know if I'm never looking at my husband like that. I've just decided I'm going to be on a honeymoon forever. I love everything about you. I love your pooch. I love your stomach hanging over your pants. I love your sagging muscles. I love everything about you. Everything. That's a mature stance, because I probably at 2019 when I first got married wouldn't have been there. But I'm just deciding that for me and myself. And I'm not going to get married until I can say that about somebody. All right, y'all. We love you. Thank you so much, V, for joining us tonight. It was amazing. You always come over here and shrink me. You hear me? You always shrink me, girl, because I don't be thinking of stuff. But I love you, ladies. Again, we'll see you tomorrow night. Y'all be blessed now.